Hi, good morning. This is Anna von Reitz webinar from August 15th, 2022. I have had a lot of questions about the bankruptcies this week. People are not understanding how is the country so rich, but it's bankrupt. How is our country bankrupt? They are all foreign corporations using our names. It's identity fraud. The United States Inc. and the United States of America Inc., the all caps names. U.S. Corporation Inc., USA Corp Inc., um, and hundreds of others. Stolen identity. We have lots of gold, assets, physical wealth that belong to the American people. However, right now, they have usurped the identity of the American people. All these foreign governments has no sense and no intention of doing the right thing. They allow these corporation entities to pop up and start doing business. The foreign corporations create more identity fraud, confusion, and deceit on the American people. They have represented the U.S. by claiming to be the Federation of States, have accessed our credit, and stolen our money. All bankruptcies are foreign incorporated entities operating in your name. They're either a subcontractor or a subcontractor of a subcontractor. It is impossible for a country to go bankrupt. We are not eligible for bankrupt protection. We have sovereign immunity along with all of the other member states. An example, the Federal Reserve. It's not a government, private corporation. It's not government. It's a private corporate entity. It's privately owned. It takes over the function of a government process, such as a subcontractor. It's a private consortium of banks issuing military script. Federal does not mean government. This Federal Reserve, read my series, The Blood Money. It's all based on labor. They took military script and they based selling military script on the amount of military we had and the labor that they estimated that they could perform. All U.S. Inc., multiple names. These are different bankruptcies of the same exact people using different names, just moving on. 1863, first U.S. court bankruptcy during the Civil War. 1907, they repeated again through the Scottish. 1925, they recasted the name. In 1933, they repeated the same exact scheme again. They have, at this point, approximately 350 names that they are using for the government. They have many different variations of names, creating a multitude of foreign corporations designating our subcontractors or subcontractors of the subcontractors. So the American people complained about this, that they were just renaming and reusing, giving different names to repurpose jobs or agencies that were not successful with new names so that they could just keep running them or just move them to another place so that nobody would take notice of them for another season. So after the American people complained about the names and being repurposed and using for things that weren't working, there was rules made for Biden. Biden is not allowed to name his office with anything confusing. So he is running under the White House Office, Inc. This is the office who is trying to hire 87,000 IRS agents. All right, 1999, another bankruptcy, the U.S. Government Inc. You get stuck with the bill. It's a bunch of bourgeois. You are considered the general public who is underwriting everything without your consent, without knowledge of anything going on. You never agreed. Your representative you elected, they have been spending and debiting your assets left and right. They steal your proxy. No fiduciary accountability whatsoever. They are running as a corporation for profit. They profit at any cost. They are in the business of making money for their corporation, not their constituents. You are being misidentified as a British territorial U.S. citizen and a shareholder in that bankruptcy corporation. No one in their right mind would agree to being used and their rights being given away. They just sent 14 billion of illicit arms to Ukraine. They sent arms. They are the arms dealers. Just another scam. That came out of your pocket. They paid themselves and then shipped it to Ukraine. Now, 87,000 IRS agents will be armed to pursue the American people to pay for those arms. We are going to participate voluntarily? I don't think so. Sad. Who would sign up to shoot another American for assets? Anna says yes. Yep, there are people who are Holy Roman Empire employees on a mission for the church, a crusade for God, like the Inquisition. Some believe that they're the Brits and they're just, working as loyal subjects for the Queen. And these people are serious. So, are you really a taxpayer? The definition of taxpayer is you are a warrant officer in the British Merchant Marines working for the Queen, or you're an officer of the Inquisition and work for the Pope. So now, which one are you? Are you in the Merchant Marines? Are you in the Inquisition? Or did you just perjure yourself? Taxpayer does not mean person paying tax. Person was redefined as corporation. Vaccine was redefined as gene therapy. Well, they changed taxpayer to tax collector. You collect and send to the Queen like a good little subject. You swear under oath that you signed the 1040, that you are a warrant officer in the Merchant Marines. You put yourself liable for this fraud. They can and will use this against you. You perjured yourself and signed up for something that you weren't aware of. All of your actions were voluntary. All of your paying taxes were voluntary because you either agreed that you were a warrant officer, an Inquisition officer, or you just perjured yourself. Note, the IRS Internal Revenue Service is not qualified for armed agents. I have notified and filed charges to prevent this from reality. They have willfully and illegally threatened and attacked the general public. And the reason how they're doing this is because they are creating an army of IRS agents who are armed, who will seize upon the people's assets. In return, the public law will allow us to seize upon their assets, arrest them. We can do everything to them that they are doing to us. It is illegal to transfer ATF powers to the IRS. The ATF only can deal with alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. Interstate commerce. They have no legal right to pursue tax debt, period. They have to prove that you are engaging in those activities in court. Notice of distraint. They are liable. But if you do this under false pretenses, they, as in the American people, have the right to use military against any trespass against private property. We can seize their property and arrest them. They're acting in a criminal way, and we have to put it under their noses. 1 trillion fine for every American harmed. Biden and his government, including their employees, they are not our government. They know that they are doing 90% government work unnecessary and meant to steal from the American people. They are liable for all their actions. Their employees are being fed a narrative and being endangered deliberately. The IRS army created to pursue the public debt by armed agents. They don't have authority to do 90% of the actions that they are partaking in. Employees are being used as frontmen for all of these terrible actions. And this is like the sheriff's department is included. When they come out to your house, they're working for the Queen. But they don't realize it. Notice of distraint has been sent to all official notifications. UN members, all of the UN officers, all countries and governments, and then the various departments like the Pentagon, the Joint Chief of Staff, the Officer of the Inspector General, and the Secretary of State. There is an official JPEG version of this notice of distraint, and all of these are being sent an email version, and you can access this on my site so that you have it available if you are ever in need. We cannot stand by and allow this armed IRS agent scheme to continue. We know where income tax come from. The Holy Roman Empire, 10% tithe for Pope to carry out war in your name. Peter's pence used to pay for the cost of the Crusades. That's when it was started. They did it on April 15th. You paid 10% of your yearly wage. Killing for God is not Christian. This is a Roman pagan ideal. It really hasn't changed much. It's still the exact same way today. The Pope assumes we agree to all of this. Misuses of language, terminology, and legal presumptions to create false claims in commerce against the Americans who are not federal employees, federal dependents, or Americans seeking any particular benefit. When you apply for a benefit, if you are benefited, it means it was made available to the general public as a gift, like a public library. Are you benefited by a public library? Yes. Are you a beneficiary? A beneficiary is an example would be corporation as a dividend. Would you be a beneficiary of your public library? No. It implies special ownership interests being paid back for something that you did. All buildings are built with our money, maintained by our money, and the employees are paid with our money. So we need to treat our employees with the context of us being the employers. Immigrants being treated as beneficiaries. They have no rights to receive. The American people are paying all. Compliments of the Democrats. Why? They are enslaving them, taking their identities and assuming their estatehood, their personal estate. Their value as a slave, say they come over here and they come from Honduras. They may be worth a couple thousand, but they're really a cheap slave. They become an American, they're worth billions. They increase the value of the economy. It's all part of the fraud. We have been cheated by our friends and allies. We came to their rescue and continue to keep their hands in our pockets ever since. They have defrauded the American people with numerous frauds. It's time to learn facts and stop this madness. The banking world is completely kerfuffled. The IMF wants to create a digital currency, controls commodities and everyone on earth, more worthless than the dollar. Don't indulge if you're smart. Digits in a ledger, no standard identified. Is it by the USA dollar, the USD dollar, the Federal Reserve dollar? No standard. Changing you into a corporation means you can't die. Your physical body leaves and dies, but your corporate entity lives forever to defraud everyone else. Debt is supposed to be written off when anyone dies. All personage crimes, bankers are continuing to try to figure out how to increase the debt so they can cover the cost and control of all their frauds. They want to be able to reward their cronies but pursue their enemies. With digital currency, there's no guarantees. The same people who are creating this are creating Bitcoin. Corporate governments will outlaw all other kinds of currency. They'll outlaw and arrest promoters, confiscate all monies, take over production and distribution. So there's no way of winning in this game. The U.S. note is still the note. It's still still a scam. And what they're talking about is the U.S. dollar, the reserve note. It's a note. It's a promissory note. Are they now going to use it as the standard for the dollar? It's still just a note. It's not a dollar. Our subcontractors can only operate on credit while we use gold and silver. They seized our assets and used as collateral without our knowledge. Big frauds ensued. How easy to just erase or delete if it's just debt on paperwork. The general public needs to wake up. We have been used and abused by our good friends and allies, the Roman Catholic Church, the Lord Mayor of London, and the Queen of England. We are the innocent victims of these monsters. They have impersonated our government for 160 years. They kept a secret since 1937 with making our National Security Office. Declaration of Interdependence Between Governments. Bet you never heard of that. It's another declaration of interdependence between government. They failed to notify the people. It's the workings between the three constitutions. They definitely failed full disclosure and due process. The contract is canceled from all of the frauds that ensued. Bankers still looking for a way to continue to play with useless digits. They can't touch the gold and silver or land. Everything is locked down. The banks should confess. They did the same thing in Britain as here, with incorporation of business, governments, and individual people. Reference to states means state of states, the Confederate States. Lincoln talked in deceptive language, presenting of the Union, talking about the Union of States. He was talking about the state of states. This is a cartel in control of the commodities. The federal states of America is the Confederate States. The North and South during the Civil War, both sides registered corporations fighting each other, serving the same foreign subcontractors. We are the only lawful people that have standing and claim to be an American citizen. These foreign governments, guilty politicians, and banks have defrauded the public using your money, credit, and assets. Get on board. Join your assembly, organize, claim your status, document on the public record, document any false claims, stand up for yourself, deny presumptions, file notices of distraint, get badge numbers, record facts, infractions, incursions on your privacy and property. We need all hands on deck, mass awakening, pursuit of infractions and incursions. Employees that are working for the foreign governments are victims, trapped into doing illegal activities, enforcing laws that are unlawful, ignoring the public law and enforcing administrative law, the law of corporations. They are in constant motion to keep everything confused and not be able to keep up with, who's doing what. So they change the Lord Mayor every year. They spread the blame factor, making it harder to contact, to get information, whatever. If you want to know who the top guilty are, is the Lords of Admiralty. These are leaders. There are 13 scattered all over the world. It includes the maritime law courts. They're operating in lawlessness as pirates, pretending they're at war, keeping people in a state of occupation. Get your sights 2020 on who is responsible for all this happening. Regulations are not laws. Regulations are for corporations. Licenses are for corporations. Doctors, license only required to treat federal citizens and their dependents. No license to treat Americans. We here enslaved by the bankers. We have been enslaved by the bankers, giving us pittance. We are rats in a maze, labor slaves to the government. How could we be so dumb, asleep, going through life without notice to what's going on in the world? We have to learn, teach the next generation, and never allow this to happen again. Donations. Please invest in your assembly. Support your government. We are the only people who are presenting truth, trying to represent the people as a whole, and are the only true eligible government with claim and standing. A special thank you to the states that sent in donations as an assembly. I appreciate and suggest more assemblies do the same. Do you want to be rats in a maze, or get off of the couch and take affirmative, peaceful action? Invest in your government of we the people. Are we going to stand by and watch our country stolen? The value of your money stolen? The false claims from the IRS? Misidentification of American citizens? We need to quash this. We need to be fully informed and be verbal about all infractions, incursions with the state of states. Your status effectively prevents all government entity, your status, when it's declared, effectively prevents all foreign governments from claiming that you are an enemy combatant in a mercenary war where they can seize your assets because you're under occupation. There is two different subjects, the American history and the U.S. history, and they are two totally different subjects. They teach two totally different histories. In American history, Americans become Americans naturally. In U.S. history, you can only become an American by default. So these employees need to follow the law of the land and embrace becoming an American. This is serious business. We have put an end to these foreign we need to put an end to these foreign governments now. They are trading upon us, latching onto our assets, and stealing from us. Our public duty is to enforce the public law. Stand together, be informed. You can do it. Thanks for all your donations received. We received enough to complete the damaged roof. I appreciate everything. God bless and Godspeed. Good night. Go to your happy place and remember, God is with us. Thank you, and you have a beautiful day. Bye-bye.